Okay, this is going to be my test of my example showing the audio stream generator and all of its great capabilities. Okay, so for one, this is a relatively fresh project that I have just imported the ASG into. I did make sure it worked just a second ago, but other than that, it has never seen this again before. Sorry. What I'll do is I'll go to the audio stream generator prefab, move it into here, and take a look at it. So it's got a whole bunch of settings already set up to what I believe to be generally a pretty reliable set of information. But I can go here for default priority and volume. And I am going to make sure that this is set to the right folders: music, ambiance. Let's go ahead and switch that to music and ambiance. There we go. We don't have to worry about skipping duplicates or anything, but we can quickly hit import both. And now we have the console logs showing that, yes, it did just import both of those. Awesome. So now we can take a look at these and see how we feel about them. If I just hit play, I'll just show you that this is just randomly generated. So it starts playing the music. We hear that, like, you know, tomb reverb. We hear the wind. And after a bit of a delay, the wind plays again. So these are sample sound effects that I haven't specifically chosen to be very good for ambiance, but you also see the audio mixer here. I don't want to go through every single permutation of the parameters, but I will show some interesting things. For example, when I'm looking at my ambiance clips, I noticed that the pouring sand was really, really quiet. So, and I noticed the others were a little loud. So rather than turning down or up my pouring sand, I'm going to turn the rest of them down slightly to be about there. And that should be pretty good. And we should notice a noticeable sound decrease because I've edited those parameters. Let's see. There we go. Wind is way quieter. It also has the fade in and fade out. Oh, well, I mean, it's going to be even quieter for you because I've just turned it down a whole lot. But we can also do some stuff where we can isolate the ambiance track. The sound, the sand, and the wind happened at the same time there. That's one of the only dangers with the fact that it randomizes. Known issue, one that I'm not super convinced is that much of an issue, because it will eventually sort itself out, and that is, you know, somewhat natural. It's only bad if you get stuck in that state and it's going to consistently randomize out. So, okay, that's one obviously different. Okay. Now I want to do an example where I do 4 tracks at once. There are only 4 sound effects, so this is going to play 4 ambiance objects at once. We can actually go here to the audio stream generator and go to the bottom to see what is currently in use and what is being selected as usable. So we have a lot more overlapping stuff now that we've increased the number of tracks. It may actually throw me a console error. I think it'll be fine, but yeah, so it's scary about that. That's probably something I should talk about in my README. But delay is still really high. That's why we're getting something like that. If I turn off the delay and the random delay, it's going to play. Let me set it to 3 for my own sake. It's going to start playing that stuff in a there's no delay, and it'll be terrible. Except for the beginning. The beginning is delayed by a little bit because I wanted it plays halfway through the next clip. We can turn that up and down and stuff. We can actually, because we're using with the Unity audio mixer, I can add attenuation in there to, for example, if I wanted to do a high pass where only high sounds are going to come through. Like that. Thought that was pretty neat. So you can do something like that for, say this is coming from the other room, you can add a low pass in there, and you just kind of increase that cutoff frequency, or increase or decrease, regardless. Now it's going to sound muffled like they're from the other room. That's something that people can add in themselves. But that's what it sounds like with no. So if you want to emphasize the characters in a windy environment, you can definitely do that with that stuff. And it creates a very different effect that still feels new every time. I mean, you obviously hear the sounds, but ideally people will use longer sound clips than what I'm using now. The other thing I want to show you is how it fades in and out pretty quickly. The purlin won't be so noticeable. So the fade was pretty gradual on the others. That is how it blended together pretty nicely. Here, you will hear it cut off. There you go. There's a cutoff. That's because that specific audio clip goes like that. And what are you going to do about those? Well, what you do is you add a fade. Or you edit it in Audacity. Or whatever audio tool you're using. So there's low delay. I found that 0.35 is a nice setting. So that is why it is set to that. By default, on the tool, 8.4 is pretty good for if you're trying to create varied things. Now, again, I'm not allowed to do some of this stuff, but you could also use it to, I guess, add like jump scare type stuff in there. Here's me importing a completely new sound, and if I go to importer and I say, hey, skip duplicates, import ambiance, you'll see that, hey, we just got a new one. So now if I hit play, we have another random event. Right now, a completely equal chance of any soundbite. So it may even duplicate before we get to the new one. Now the new one is pretty noticeable. And we can make sure, if we're like, hey, we really, really want to hear that over and over for some reason, you can set to priority 10. Most likely it's going to be the first one played. Because now it has gone from a list of choosing 1 and 4 to, 1 and 5 to 10 in 14, I believe. So as soon as it is out of the feed and it goes back in to be choosing a new one, boom, bing, bing, bong, here we go. Back to wind, we hear wind again. Almost certainly bing, bing, bong is coming up next. There we go. Okay, so now you can see how there's a lot you can do there. Now let's remove that because that was a example and also not, great. Now let's say I wanted to go with, I wouldn't recommend one track, but you could do one. Let's say I cranked up the volume variation. This is also capped from 0 to 1, but now almost everything will be controlled by purlin. And the reason why I'm setting it to one track is so that we see it's going to play one after another, how the purlin noise can affect this. So without fade, that is what it did. We can actually go to the ambiance thing and we see how that volume is. We see the purlin itself working. Because we've set the speed by default to pretty low, the purlin shouldn't cause that crazy dramatic effects, but you'll see over time it will dip down and up and down, and however the purlin has been chosen. And it's off the bass volume as well. So that'll be even more obvious. I recommended by people do not do this, but you could go into the ambiance tool yourself and set the speed. So for example, if I do 0.1, we will start seeing a dramatic change in volume. And this is base volume, not like on top of what the clip is doing. You'll see that it is setting. Oh, we locked at 1. Regardless, that is why I recommend the volume variation not being at 1, but rather at somewhere around the 0.35. It's pretty good. 0.3, you know. That's pretty good. You can also choose not to do the Perlin volume variation. I found it doesn't add so much. Like it adds enough to have the user subconsciously notice something, which is good. That's what we're going for with Ambiance. Ambiance is a really hard thing to lock down, and I wish anyone who uses this luck. It's something hopefully that should be really easy to add in. Users will be able to go to, let's see, am I screen capturing everything? If I do this, will this show? Okay, good. Users, you're able to go to the volume manager. I wrote some stuff in here about how to work with the preferences in here and permanently set volume levels. So this is actually also a tool that you can pretty much directly reference in your game and have audio pretty dynamically, not pretty dynamically, will dynamically set its levels for all of your future use. Okay, that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching the 11-minute video. 12-minute by now. Wow. This is also for a school project, so my TAs must love me, even though I will be using this for quite some time. Assuming it doesn't suck.